A while back, Google ditched using outside chips for its Pixel phones and made its own, the Tensor G3. Teaming up with Samsung, it's the engine behind the Pixel 8 series. But hold on, Qualcomm popped up with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, stealing the show. Is Google's Tensor G3 now old news, or can it still go toe-to-toe with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3? It's time to break it down in this face-off. Hey there! In today's Tech World episode, let's see which chip comes out on top. Google dropped the Tensor G3 when they unleashed the Pixel 8 series on October 4, 2023. Qualcomm stepped into the ring a cool 20 days later, announcing their Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. But here's the twist: even though they came out around the same time, these chips are like apples and oranges when it comes to their core setups. Let's break it down. Same time frame, different vibes. Qualcomm shook things up with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, saying bye to a core and adding a fourth medium one. That's a 1 plus 5 plus 2 setup. On the flip side, Tensor G3 lost a big core but gained two medium buddies, rocking a 1 plus 4 plus 4 vibe. But here's the real deal: Google went for last-gen ARM cores, while Qualcomm is flexing as the first to embrace ARM's 2023 cores. Breaking it down further, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 flaunts one Cortex-X4 big core, 5 Cortex-A720 medium champs, and 2 Cortex-A520 refresh little fellas. Tensor G3, on the other hand, boasts one Cortex-X3 big gun, 4 Cortex-A715, and 4 Cortex-A510 mates. Qualcomm cranked up the speeds, with most cores breezing past 3 GHz. Google, on the chill side, keeps it slower. The big core hits 2.91 GHz, and the medium ones groove at 2.37 GHz. Qualcomm rocks its Adreno GPU, bringing in ray tracing vibes. Google, they license ARM's Mali architecture. And let's not forget about modems and manufacturers. Qualcomm goes for TSMC, while Google trusts Samsung foundries. Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 and Google Tensor G3 benchmarks. Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, the one put through the paces on Qualcomm's test gadget, pulls ahead big time. In Geekbench 6 multi-core, it's like the hare racing past the tortoise, about 68% faster than Tensor G3. Even in the single-core game, it's not a close race with a 32% lead. Here's the kicker: Google's 2023 chip can't even top Qualcomm's last-gen SoC. When it comes to graphics, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 flexes its muscles. It can be twice as fast as Tensor G3 for some graphical tasks. Now, we'll have to wait and see if real phones with 8 Gen 3 hit these sky-high speeds. Meanwhile, Google's chip is making progress in CPU and GPU performance, but it's not quite keeping up with the big dogs in the Android chipset world. Here's the scoop on performance and endurance. The Tensor G3 has a silver lining. In a test that pushed these chips to the limit with the 3D Mark Wildlife test, Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 started strong but then dipped to half its peak after 9 minutes. On the flip side, the Pixel 8 Pro with the Tensor G3 showed a smoother decline. After 9 minutes, the performance gap between the two narrowed from over 200% to just 27%. The key takeaway? Google aimed for power efficiency over raw power. The Tensor G3 might not be a sprinter, but it's more like a marathon runner, steadily holding its ground. It's worth noting that Qualcomm doesn't have to play it safe because it relies on TSMC's efficient 4nm chip manufacturing, while Google's partnership with Samsung Foundry has been a suspect in Tensor's not-so-efficient power use. In everyday tasks, though, the Tensor G3 holds its own. Alright, let's get straight to the point. If you're a serious gamer, the Tensor G3 might not be your best friend. It doesn't support ray tracing either, which might be a big deal for upcoming games. But hold up, for other everyday stuff, the Tensor G3 is good to go. Now here's the twist: Google's secret weapon might be AI. That's a big deal, right? But the real question is, does that advantage still hold up in 2024? It's like having an ace up your sleeve in a card game at school, but you have to wonder if it's still the winning move. So if you're not a hardcore gamer and you dig what AI can bring to the table, the Tensor G3 might just be the right choice for you. Since 2021, Google's been shouting from the rooftops that Tensor is all about AI, not just raw power. So you think the Tensor G3 would be miles ahead of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 in the AI game? But hold on, Qualcomm isn't sleeping on the AI front either. They've cooked up some AI smarts in their SoC this time around. Here's the hiccup: Google is playing it close to the chest with Tensor's inner workings. We can't do a direct apples-to-apples comparison. According to Qualcomm, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 can handle hefty language models like Meta's Llama right on your device. It's also a wizard at whipping up AI-generated images in a blink with stable diffusion. On the other side of the ring, Google says Tensor G3 tackles scaled-down versions of its top-tier generative AI models. If you're all about power and speed, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 is your go-to chip, especially if you're a heavy-duty user. But hey, if you're watching your wallet, the Tensor G3 in the Pixel 8, priced at $799, gives you decent performance without breaking the bank. Expect to see the Tensor G3 in the upcoming Pixel 8a, likely around $500. Now, for the big spenders out there, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 is making its debut in pricier devices, hitting the $1,000 range. Here's the twist: while the Tensor G3 might not top the flagship charts, it brings exclusive Pixel AI features you won't find elsewhere. So, which chip suits your style? If your phone is your work buddy and you're always juggling demanding tasks, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 is the star. But if you're more of a casual user, Tensor G3 won't let you down. Bonus: Google promises 7 years of Android updates for the Pixel 8 family, the longest in the Android world. Now the ball's in your court. Which SoC is your pick for the next smartphone? Drop your thoughts below. Don't forget to hit like, comment, share, subscribe, and ring that bell icon for more tech updates. Let's keep the conversation going.